Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zollotech, and Apple has finally announced the iPhone 18 event dates. We know the date and time, when it will take place, and also they've sent out the official invites. They're calling the event Surprise and Shine, and this will be an in-person event for those that were invited. They'll be able to watch it at Apple Park along with everyone else there, and then of course in the Steve Jobs Theater. But if you're at home, you can watch it there as well, and you can watch it on September 9th at 10 a.m. Pacific Time or 1 p.m. Eastern Time. You can watch it on Apple.com, Apple TV and the Apple TV app, or on an official Apple TV, as well as on YouTube. They've already got a placeholder there. You'll see it here again, scheduled for 9/9 at 1 p.m. in my time zone. This will adjust to your time zone there as well. So this will be available just like any previous Apple event. You can watch it on YouTube or wherever you'd like. So that's great to see. And as I mentioned, it's called Surprise and Shine. The Hashmoji is now live. You can see that on X here. So I posted it, and you can see the Hashmoji with the little Apple logo that goes along with the invite that's blue. So this hints at a few things we'll talk about in a moment, but like I said, it will be in person, and then of course you'll be able to watch it online. Now the logo hints at what we think is maybe the new Siri logo for iOS 27. You can see here it sort of has some of the similar look with some of the similar colors here also. And then we have this blue color, which is also rumored to go along with the next iPhone. Now, as far as what to expect, I've covered a lot of the iPhone 18 extensively in different videos, what to expect with that and the different rumors and leaks that have been out. So of course, be sure to check those out, but let's go over what we expect next. Now this year we expect Apple to announce an iPhone 18 Pro, an 18 Pro Max, and an iPhone Fold, or an iPhone Ultra, or whatever they decide to call it. Maybe we'll have a surprise there, but this year it seems Apple is doing things a little bit differently. They're not just releasing the base iPhone, the Pro, and the Pro Max. This year they're pushing the base iPhone along with the iPhone Air. It looks to be sometime next year, maybe around the time of the iPhone 18e that's expected to launch early next year like they did this year with the 17e, so we could see sort of a different release schedule this time around. So we expect the iPhone 18 Pro, 18 Pro Max, and then a folding iPhone. We of course expect some new colors. Many have rumored that we'll get a new dark cherry color along with a black, silver, and then maybe a new blue color that goes along again with the color that's here in the Surprise and Shine invite. So we could see something very similar to that color. We also expect, of course, the usual improved processor. Upgraded cameras this year are rumored as well, where we could get a little bit of a difference between the Pro and Pro Max phones. Some people have said that instead of just having a regular aperture that's fixed, we'll have a variable aperture where you can control the amount of light that's let into the camera itself. This is something that's long been rumored, and it could finally be coming, but it's only going to be available on the 18 Pro Max if the rumors are correct. Of course, to go along with that, we could see a battery improvement. Many people have said that we could see this get a little bit thicker and then maybe have a little bit larger battery to get us through the day. That wouldn't surprise me whatsoever, so that would be great to see. And then also to go along with those colors, we could see more uniformity here. So instead of having maybe a matte color to go along with silver where we have white contrasting, or maybe with cosmic orange that we have here, instead of having the matte and sort of mismatched colors, this year's colors are said to better match the actual frame of the phone. We still expect it to be aluminum or aluminium. We don't expect any changes there, but maybe they'll make some changes to the overall durability of the type of aluminum that they're using. So again, expect an iterative update this time around, similar to when we had the iPhone 4 and then a 4S, then 5 and 5S. Now that we have this design that was new as of last year, we expect a similar design with the camera plateau with just general improvements. Of course, the big thing this year will be the iPhone Fold. So we expect a folding iPhone. Again, it could be called the iPhone Ultra or something else, but a last-minute leak says that the iPhone Fold could come in 3 colors instead of just 2. The latest rumor says instead of just getting a black and silver option or maybe a midnight and silver option, we could also get a red color. I think that would be great. We haven't seen a red color from Apple in years, so not just a dark cherry, but an actual red color. I would love to see that. It's been a long time since we had maybe a product red iPhone, and for them to finally bring that back is something I would look forward to. Now, the bad news is, depending on where you live around the world, Apple may roll out this slowly, may roll out the iPhone folding device a little bit slower, announcing it and then releasing it in the United States, and then sort of rolling it out around the world as it becomes available and they are able to produce more of them. Also, the bad news could be it could start probably around 2000 or more. Typically, I would expect this since the Samsung Z Fold 8 starts at around $1,900 and goes up from there. I would expect Apple to do about the same sort of price. So around $2,000 for the base model, and maybe we could see it even surpass $3,000. But $3,000 would put it even past the price of the iPad Pro with OLED. So we'll have to see what Apple does there. And the good news is, according to Mark Gurman, the people that have used it absolutely love it. So hopefully it's a hit product that has an interface that's similar to an iPhone, that it can also be similar to an iPad, and we'll have to see what they do with iOS 27 and iPadOS 27 when it releases. Now, when it comes to pre-ordering the next iPhone, this should be about what we expect typically, but if it takes place on the 9th, usually it would be the following Friday. However, Apple typically respects September 11th in the United States due to the tragedy that happened here many years ago and could push it to the 12th. They did this with the iPhone 6S and 6S Plus, so we could see the same sort of thing, or maybe they'll make it a day early even. So we'll have to wait and see what they do there. But I would not expect the actual pre-order date to be on the 11th unless they change something from here. When it comes to the price of the actual device, we could see an increase of $100 or so. We're seeing that across the board from Samsung and Google on the Pixel devices. We could see something similar this year, but we just don't know for sure. Sometimes Apple has even surprised us and not raised the price. So hopefully that's what we see this year, and we still get the same memory options. As far as a release date of the phone itself, well, if we do have the event on the 9th here, then a pre-order around the 12th, we could see the public release probably on the 18th. That's usually what Apple does. And of course, based off of that, we could see iOS release before that. We'll talk about that in a moment. Of course, we also expect Apple to release some updates to the Apple Watch. And with the Apple Watch, we expect updates to the Apple Watch Ultra and Apple Watch Ultra 4, but we're not expecting much of a change as far as the way it looks. It should be compatible with the same watch bands, should have the same style. Maybe we'll have a new color this time around to help differentiate it a little bit, but at this point we expect a faster processor, significantly faster processor, and maybe some new health updates. I would love to see some updated sensors, but I think we're a couple years away from things that could measure maybe blood pressure a little bit better, or possibly even glucose. But again, I would love to see that, but of course that has to be correct and always right. So we'll have to wait and see what they do there. The same is true with the Apple Watch Series 12. We should see an upgraded chip, maybe an S12 chip, significantly faster processor, and again, maybe some new health features to go along with that. But no major hardware changes this year. That's said to be next year, where we could see a ceramic Apple Watch and maybe a redesign as well with different bands and things like that. We could get an Apple Watch SE this year as well that's updated. We don't really know, but that would be a small update. That's sort of the budget watch. And of course, if Apple does update the Apple Watch SE, that's always welcome. Of course, AirPods we've been seeing a lot about recently, and one of those things we could see is AirPods Pro 4. And if we do see AirPods Pro, we could see AirPods Pro 4. Now, if we do see those, I would not expect them to be the version with cameras in them. We've seen a lot of leaks and rumors lately about code that was left in macOS 26.7 RC, and based off of that code, we could see some in the future with cameras in them that understand your surrounding. However, according to Mark Gurman at Bloomberg, he says not to expect those until 2027. But again, based on some leaks in the same code, it seems like we could get AirPods 5 very soon. These are already pretty great with AirPods 4 with active noise cancellation. Of course, they don't seal as well as AirPods Pro 3, but they do provide some decent noise cancellation if you don't want something that goes directly in your ear. So what they could have as far as a little bit of an upgrade there, we're not really sure, but I definitely welcome not knowing everything about the upcoming products, so that should be a little bit exciting. Of course, Apple unexpectedly released updates to the Mac Mini and Mac Studio this past week, just yesterday. So those again were updated with an M6 and M5 Pro processor. Unfortunately, the price is much more expensive just to start, and then the Mac Studio with an M5 Max and M5 Ultra. So I can't wait to get my hands on that. They have updated the keyboard as well, and as well as a polishing cloth that's less expensive. So the only thing that was less expensive was the polishing cloth at $9, and you can see that here. So you'll see the polishing cloth here is $9, of course compatible with all your devices, and you can get it for a little bit less money this time around. But other than that, though, this was one of the most unexpected announcements as far as products yesterday with the Mac release. So that means we probably have some pretty significant releases later this year. We do not expect iPads. If we do see an iPad, I would expect it to be the base iPad or maybe an iPad mini with OLED, but I would expect that to maybe be in an October event or press release. Based on what we've seen before, we do expect some additional products, maybe in MacBook Ultra, something along those lines. But again, Apple typically splits those into separate events, so we may not see those until October or even November like they've done in the past. Now, one of the most exciting things I'm looking forward to is the release of iOS 27. Now that we know the event takes place on September 9th, I would expect the RC is maybe as soon as the Monday before or that day, then the public release on the 14th. So based off of what we've seen in the past, we could have a public release of iOS 27 on the 14th or 15th. Well, then, of course, the iPhone release on the 18th. That's typically what we see, and I can't believe we're only a few weeks away from a public release of iOS 27. We can expect watchOS 27, tvOS, and HomePod OS 27, other things as well, such as macOS 27, visionOS 27, and maybe a few surprises. Other things we're expecting maybe later this year are new home items, things like a HomePod with a screen on it, and I think Apple will probably save that for a separate event at this point. Probably iPhones in September, home devices and maybe Macs in October, or maybe Macs in November. Sometimes they've done 3 separate events as well. So it should be pretty packed this year as far as what Apple's releasing. So that's everything to expect so far at the upcoming event. The iPhone 18 event is finally official, and of course, it's surprise and shine. So let me know what you think of it. If you're planning to pick up an iPhone 18, if you can't wait for iOS 27, I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Of course, I'll link this wallpaper in the description like I normally do. And if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. And if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. As always, thanks for watching. This is Aaron. I'll see you next time.